Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Um, do me a favor real quick, y'all. If you can hear me and see me just fine, go ahead, type 5 in the chat. If you can hear me just fine, type 5 in the chat for me before I get started. Brand new headphone. This one has a little bit of static in it, so before I start really getting into the conversation, I want to make sure that you all can hear me. What's going on? Yo, what's going on, Miss Tanya? What's going on? Melissa, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Yo, type 5 if y'all can hear me. Type 5. All right, good. Tammy, what's going on? How's it going? Alberta, thank you. All right, good. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Deborah, thank you. I know it's been a long time since you all have seen or heard from me. Cool, good. And I want to speak with you all today about a couple of things. But before I get into that, I want to kind of explain, why I pretty much disappeared for a couple of months as it pertains to social media. And that'll also lead into the conversation. One, right off the bat, I'm not really a social media guy. Like I'm not really a social media guy in general. I'm a country boy. I find lots of happiness just being out in the woods. I find lots of happiness just being out on a random dirt road. I'm a very simple man. I'm not a fan of having cameras in my face. If you go find my personal social media profile, if you can find it, you'll see that there's nothing on there about my personal life outside of my business, which is my mission. The only reason I do social media is because of the mission, which is radical health improvement, specifically dealing in areas of the metabolic condition, insulin resistance. And two, have a lot going on, personal, work, business, just a lot going on in general. And then three, which is the part that's going to lead us into the conversation, is that when this whole COVID thing started happening, I was paying attention to it since November 2019. And I know that may seem like an earlier time frame, and it is. And it was just something that they were talking about over in China. And of course, as the months went on, started paying more attention to it. By the time the beginning of February came around, my medical director, we were on the phone talking about a case. And, at the end of our conversations, we would do like a brief personal talk, how's the family, how's this and this and that. And at the end of the conversation in early February, he said, he's like, man, my stocks are really getting a hit. My portfolio is really getting hit. And he said, I think it has to do with what's going on over in China. And when he said that, it was like a ripple effect in my head, because it automatically took me back to 2009, which is the H-1N1 pandemic, if any of you remember that. And I remember that, and I went back to that time frame because that was around the time when I started to learn about the stock market. And I remembered how it seemed like the stock market knew about the pandemic before it even happened. I remember being in a group. The guy name is, I still remember his name. His name is like Michael Murphy. I don't know if he's legit scam, but I was young. I didn't do too much or anything like that. I didn't put like crazy money in it. But I remember months before they declared it a pandemic, I remember he was giving us information about what was going on and what was about to happen and where we should move our money and what we should look at shorting. And I'm brand new to the stock market. I don't know anything about shorting. I don't know anything about, I don't know why a flu or some type of health condition would affect the market that bad. I didn't know any of those things. But when I tell you that this guy almost seemed like he was a psychic, when I tell you that he seemed like he was psychic, essentially everything he said would happen as far as the stock market went, happened. And it wasn't just him. This was just something that happens. Like, even when they took it back to Ebola, when you take it back to these pandemics, if you understand psychology and sociology and how people are able to be manipulated based on their fears and their concerns, you know how money is going to move. And so essentially that's what happened. And the exact same thing he said would happen happened in the stock market. They made mad money. I was a college student. I didn't have money like that to be putting out there. $50 is, you pushing it, And so when my medical director told me that his portfolio was negatively being impacted, all of a sudden, out of the blue, and he thought it was because of what was happening over in China, it took me back over there, back in that time frame. And so this time when it started happening February, I paid close attention to everything that was going on. Extremely close attention. If you all go back, you'll see February 26th. On Facebook is when I made my first video. February 26th of 2020 is when I made my first video about, what were we calling it then? We were calling it, I think we were calling it SARS COVID-19. I think that's what we were calling it at the time, coronavirus. And I made the video about what was going on, the number of deaths, how it was going to pan out. And it was very superficial, but I wrapped it up with how you need to make sure you protect yourself. And I talked about the basic things. This is February 26, 2020, before they declared the pandemic. And I told you all, I was like, they're going to declare the pandemic. And I told you all my concerns about us as a whole. And one of my biggest fears was that this was going to be used and abused against us. And that part came out to be true. I also spoke about the things we need to do health-wise, and vitamin D was at the top of the list. Fasting, of course, was at the top of the list. Health, water, exercise, running, all those things, all the things that I'm always saying was at the top of the list. That's how I wrapped up that conversation. But it also wrapped it up by telling you not to lose hope. No matter what happens, don't lose hope. I'd also wrapped it up by telling you to be very careful with media. Now, mind you, I didn't think this would happen. Like, I didn't know it was going to get this crazy and last this long. But I understand just from looking at history, whenever there's a crisis, like, just pick a crisis. Whenever there's a crisis, you're going to have powers looking to exploit that crisis, no matter what it is. Financial, housing, health, doesn't matter. You're going to have forces looking to exploit it. So that was back then, February 2020. Made that video, and I continue making videos in general about health because that's what I do. And then I got to the point where I was telling you all the information that's coming out about this whole thing, the COVID. There's so many holes in it that just doesn't make sense. And then I got to the point where they started talking about the vaccine, and I was telling you all that I am at the point where, although I'm making videos covering these topics, I feel as though I am being used. Some of you may remember that. I told you, I feel like because things are so obvious to me as it pertains to the unnecessary response and the unnecessary push and mandates and things that were going on, I didn't see the need for it based on the survivability rate. Now, this is not really something you can debate about. It's just facts. If you look at the overall number of cases versus the amount of unfortunate deaths, you're going to see a survivability rate of 98% on the lower end, 99% on the higher end. 100 people, all 100 get infected. We're looking at 1 to 2 people unfortunately passing away. I don't say that to belittle or down talk the overall impact that it has had on us. I say that because it is a mathematical fact, and something that we should not miss. And so, because the conversation quickly turned to vaccination, do you all remember? So March and April came around, and you quickly saw so many of us become hysterical. You remember the shortage of tissue? You remember the shortage of hand sanitizer? The shortage of alcohol? Do you recall the shortage of masks, handkerchiefs, the social distancing, plexiglass? If you walk back through that timeline, you can see the hysteria which is being fueled by media from what people are telling us. Now, mind you, not at no time at all did those folks, your health leaders, at any time focus on foundational health things. What you had was your health leaders consistently, even to this day, flip-flopping. You had the head Keebler elf, also known as Fauci, straight up tell you, masks, there's no need for it. Masks don't work. There's no need for it. Those were his words. And then you see him flip-flop. I only said that because they do work, but we needed them for our healthcare workers. And so right there, in that statement, you have to really understand how, if he's telling the truth, you have to understand just how deadly a lie that is. He's saying that they saved lives, but I only lied and told you that they didn't work because we needed them. But they do save lives, and you do need them now. So that's what he said, right? And we can go on and on and on. And that's what I was doing, right? I was making these videos about the case fatality rates. I was making these videos about, the masks. I was making the videos about the vaccines. I mean, when the vaccines came out, there were just so many holes. And then you all see me get to a point where I start to slow down with the videos because I told you all, so many of these things don't make sense. And when they don't make sense, of course, they make dollars. However, this is bigger than just dollars. I don't know what it's all about still. Of course I don't. But I would say money is on the lower end as far as what's being gained from this. Money is on the lower end. Money is probably like the lowest aspect of the totem pole. Power, control, those things are definitely in there. And not to, spook anyone out. I don't know how people feel about that, nor do I really care. But there's a huge spiritual component to it as well. There's a huge component of despair, which is the loss of hope that is taking place, and just overall control that's taking place. But what I know is that it's not about health. That's what I know. That's what I know. It's not about us or the system or them truly caring about you. It's not about them truly caring to keep you safe. That's what I know because of how they have moved this whole entire time. So, you saw me start to slow down with making the videos, and then you also saw me start to mention over and over, I feel like I am playing right into their plan because I'm making videos on the other side. And that's what, once again, that's what they will do. That's what the system will do. They'll play both sides of the field. They'll play every side of the field, no matter how many parts and components. They'll play the mainstream side, and they'll give them resources. They'll give them information and ammunition to use against the other sides. But then they'll also come to the other side and give them ammunition to use against the mainstream narrative. And so you have this power, this force, or whatever it is, playing all sides of the field. Because, how easy is it for me to say, the vaccine doesn't stop infection and it doesn't stop transmission. So the idea of having something mandatory and forced on you doesn't make sense from that standpoint. Yeah, that's easy. And you know what? After a while, it makes you feel crazy to continuously repeat that and say that and have people agree with you and have people who are triply jabbed, boosted out of their head, syringes sticking out of their neck, vaxxed to the max, with the infection again for the second time, and not doing well with it, and having an O2 level of 87. Like, it gets old with them pushing back and saying, yeah, it does. Another thing there's multiple things that get old is people saying that, well, if I didn't have the vaccine, then things would have been worse for me. Like, how do you know? Like, do you have a parallel universe where you have actually played that out? Because once again, like, this is common sense, and so this is just using facts. The entire year for 2020, we didn't have a vaccine. The entire year for 2020, millions of people were infected with the virus. The entire year for 2020, the majority of those people were either asymptomatic or mild, and the majority of people never went to the hospital, and the overwhelming majority of people, once again, on the lower end, 98% of those people survived with no vaccine. And so for people to come to the conclusion in 2021 and 2022 that if they didn't have it, they would have done worse, or thank God that they have it because it would have been worse if I didn't have it, what are you basing that off of? Because I'm basing it off of the fact that we went a whole entire year with no vaccine and the majority of people were mild and asymptomatic. That's what I'm basing off on. What are you basing it off on? So I got tired of having those conversations because, once again, that's too obvious. It's just too obvious. And so I didn't want to continue to put out content or videos that were just playing into the narrative. I wanted to make sure that I was being of use to my people. I didn't want to just come out here and just continue, look at this article. They got Kyrie back. They brought back an unvaccinated player to replace the vaccinated players who got infected by the things that we're vaccinated against. Like, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be like, there's a whole outbreak of coronavirus in the NBA and NFL. Even though they're 95 to 99% vaccinated, they're now bringing out old players and retired players and players from the B League to replace the vaccinated players. Like, I didn't want to do that, man, because that's not my purpose. So I didn't want to focus on what they wanted me to focus on, because it takes me off of my purpose and it takes me out of alignment on what I'm supposed to be doing. So the thing that made me step back was, one day I got an email from Facebook, and it said the headline, the reason why I opened it, because usually I won't open these emails, but the headline was something about your funds have been deposited or something like that. So I opened that, right? Now, mind you, I opened the email and it shows Facebook paid me an amount that I couldn't even really figure out why they were paying me that amount. This is how ignorant I am to the other side of Facebook. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, did I overpay on my ads? Because that's the financial interaction I have with Facebook, is that I pay them to push my ads. But that didn't make sense because Facebook has suspended my ad account because of the COVID stuff that I was talking. So that didn't make sense. And I'm looking at this amount and I'm like, why did Facebook just deposit this money in my, is this an accident? Nah, showed up in the bank account. So now I'm really puzzled. So I log into Facebook. I'm looking around Facebook, trying to figure out, maybe I did overpay somehow, maybe XYZ. If you're a creator, then you understand like there's another aspect of Facebook where you're able to look at your videos. And I knew that part, but I didn't know the financial part. So long story short with that part, I had several videos that were just, I don't even know what the definition of viral is as far as views and shares, but I had several videos that were being shared like crazy and people were commenting on it left and right. 2 videos particularly that was going crazy as far as the views, and the money came from those 2 videos. From Facebook paid me. And so initially as a businessman, I'm like, yo, this is good. Like these 2 videos are little assets. But then when I look at the actual video of what it is and you start reading the comments, of course the video is about COVID. The video is on point. Everything that I said in there is factual, but you go down and you read the comments and it's just horrible. Thousands of comments, and it's nothing but chaos, fighting, and division. So much so that I couldn't even manage those comments. Like sometimes I'll try to take out some just crazy stuff. There's so many comments on those 2 videos, particularly one video, that I just couldn't keep up with it at all, and so I left it alone. But that was the main video that caused Facebook to send that check. So initially I felt like, yo, business-wise, this is good. Then minutes after that, I was like, wait a minute. Like this video, as far as the comments and the interaction goes, is horrible. It's horrible. But this is one of my top videos. Facebook just paid me to sow division and discord. And I mean, maybe I'm being a little extreme with that, but not really. And so I didn't really know how to feel about that. Because that is exactly what I was saying. I was saying I don't want to be a vessel for them. Even though I think that I am fighting the power and pushing back, like I don't want to be that vessel. And that is what that video was. That video was talking about one thing, but the comments, it became extremely political. It became extremely left, right. And there's a lot of unnecessary comments in that video. And so that is when I said, I'm gonna chill. Because why did Facebook push this video so much? Now, mind you, I have thousands of videos. I have videos that straight up break down what type 2 diabetes is, how you became type 2 diabetic, why it's reversible, why it's preventable, and what you need to do to actually do that. And these are like my lowest performing videos. I have videos on fatty liver. I have videos on high blood pressure. I have videos on fasting. I have videos straight up informing you on how to get healthy. And these videos perform horribly, and I don't get paid for those videos. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm not really sure which direction I'm going to go, but I know I'm not going to be dabbling in that. And so I stopped, along with everything else I had going on, because I needed to figure out how am I going to be an asset for the people who I say I care about and truly want to help, and not exploit them, and not be a part of the narrative. Yeah, I mean, once again, it's very easy, man. I mean, it's light work at this point. It's light work at this point to get on here and debunk and find the logical fallacies in these conversations that are taking place. It is light work. To be honest with you, I find no entertainment in it. At times it's frustrating. At times it's, you just kind of lose hope in people in general, because you see it one way and so many people see it a different way. And so So I find no fun in doing those topics at all. I have no interest on continuously to focus on what they are saying. I have no interest in continuously focusing on what the new headline is. I have no interest on seeing what the new Karen video. I have no interest on who freaked out on the airplane or airport or who did this. And because I understood that whatever we were talking about and whatever we thought we were discovering was placed there. It was put there. You know, think about this. You really think when these folks had these, leaked emails or leaked data, statistics, you really think that it was an accident? Like, do you really believe in your heart that it was really leaked? Like, do you really believe that, oh no, we mistakenly let the emails about Fauci out, about the puppies. Oh no, we've mistakenly let the emails about the lab and the funding of the lab. No, it's not an accident at all. And once again, it doesn't matter which side you're on. They're going to provide you with ammunition so you can get out there in the streets and fight against your fellow citizen. And then they're going to give them ammunition to fight against you. And then that's what the devil does. The devil will play both sides of the field, all sides of the field, and whisper in everybody's ear, yo, they're trying to kill you. We got to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. And go over here and be like, yo, your body, your choice. Do what you want to do. They can't force that vaccine on you. You see how many people are being affected by it? And come back over here and be like, yo, they overfilling the hospitals. And that's not fair. What if you got to go in there for a heart attack and then go back over here and say, they're trying to strip away all your personal liberties and all your freedoms over a virus that has a 99% survival rate. And they come back, it's like they will do that all day long while we're focusing on each other. But if while we're focusing on each other, going back and forth, fighting with this false dichotomy and this false narrative of vax versus unvax, mask versus unmasked, it's not even that. It's not even that. But they have done an excellent job of making us believe that that's what it is. What it's about is that plug that everybody's overlooking. Everybody's overlooking the plug. And as long as we're overlooking this plug, that we're all plugged into this narrative, we're all plugged into this false dichotomy, we're all plugged into this economy of fear and ignorance, they are causing a pandemic of hopelessness, despair. And that's where many people are at right now. Too many people are at. I see it all the time firsthand, looking in people's eyes as they're talking about, their experience and their concerns and their fears and their worries. And yes, I feel a complete different way as far as the overall narrative. But I will listen to people who are genuinely confused and lost and not really sure how to move. I would genuinely listen to it. Now, the ones who are trying to be aggressive with their beliefs and trying to shame and all this like that, nah, I don't have too much time for them. So going forward, what I need us all to do, so no matter where you're at, no matter what you do, I'm always for your personal liberties. Always am, always will be. So going from this point forward, at any point you're not a fan of, or you don't appreciate the direction that I'm heading, or what I'm saying, or just the mission overall, you're free to completely cut me off. You're free to completely leave. I am 1000% okay with that. However, going forward, H-BAMN, whether you know us from the Fast Life 20-Day Challenge, whether you know us from working with Kathleen Richardson, what you need to understand is that going forward, yes, you may see me make a video talking about something dealing with this overall pandemic. And that is because, if you see me doing that, that's because I am wrapping it up with accountability, self-reliance. I'm wrapping it up with focusing on you and unplugging from this matrix. I know it's a very overused analogy, but damn it, if it's so accurate right now. So yes, I may talk about some of the obvious things, and once again, you need to understand that I take no pleasure in talking about these obvious things, because for me at this point, it is so basic. It is just so basic, because their job, their purpose is to create confusion and chaos. Confusion and chaos is great for them, no matter which side you're on. Along with doing that, they get us all to take the focus off of us. They get you to take your focus off of you. They get you to take your focus off of your health. They get you to take your focus off of your purpose, your mission, or whatever you have decided you are here to do or not do. They get you to take your attention off of they get you to focus on the things of this world. Like, point blank period. They get you to focus on them. And as long as you continuously focus on them, no matter which side you want, they really don't care. Pro, anti, or whatever false narrative you want to choose, it doesn't matter where you're at with it. Just focus on us. And what I'm saying is that unplug. That world you're looking at with the pro versus anti, with the mask, and all those things, what I'm saying is that you actually have your head inside of a box, and outside that box is the entire world. But they have done such a great job of convincing you that that box you're looking in with the pro versus anti and the next pandemic and the next variant and all those things, these are false narratives that you can actually pull your head out of. And in order for that to take place, going forward, we're going to have a heavy focus on mindset, mentality, because once again, not to spook anybody out or any, I don't care. I'm gonna stop doing that. But once again, there's a large spiritual component to this, where you are being led to value comfort and miracles. You are being led to value comfort and miracles. Do this to stay comfortable. Do this to stay safe. Yo, y'all hold on real quick. Y'all hold on real quick. That's about that. I apologize about that. Are y'all still here? Do me a favor and type 5 so that I can know that I'm still live. Wow, that's a lot of comments. That's a lot of comments. All right, cool. Thank you, McRae. Thank you, Terry. What are you doing? Mind you, this is all I love, and this is all out of hard love, because I fear that many of us have accepted a relationship with the current climate as far as the gangbanging back and forth, regardless of your set. If you're set mainstream versus set radical, I feel that many of us have fallen in love with the relationship of continuously gangbanging against one another, while completely ignoring those who have set the actual stage for us to gangbang on, while benefiting from us gangbanging regardless of whatever side we're on. And along with that obsession and that love that we have for doing that, we have massively replaced, or we have let go of the responsibility of oneself. We have let go of our values, our morals. We have let go of our purpose, the things we say that we are here to do or contribute. We have let go of the things that we say is important, and we have let go of our health. And so our mission over here is to, one, we don't want anything to do with the whole hopelessness narrative. We don't want anything to do with the despair. We don't want anything to do with any of those things. We need you to be hopeful because, once again, that's a false narrative. They need you to feel like you have no power. They need you to feel like there's nothing you can do. They need you to feel hopeless. They need that. It's extremely important because someone who feels hopeless is more likely to look for an exit. They're more likely to look for something to comfort them. They're more likely to be a customer of whatever it is they're trying to sell. They're more likely to be obedient. They're more likely to be controlled. They're more likely to be compliant with any and everything. However, those who are hopeful, those who are have a high sense of value, those who are willing to do the work, these people are anti-work. They're anti-work. Think about, regardless, whatever religion you are, or maybe you're not religious or spiritual, what does your religion or your spiritual text, or what does your own personal belief say about miracles? What does it say about the generation of miracle seekers? Because I would recommend that you be very wary around the idea of miracles. Question anything that is paraded around as results without work. These folks are anti-work. Mind you, we're going on year 2. This whole entire year, they refuse to address the low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit about this whole entire pandemic and health in general is exercise, water, vitamin D, green smoothies. How do you not have the people who are willing to infringe on your personal rights and your liberties, willing to damn near pretty much hop out of van and jab you with it themselves? How have they missed the opportunity to say, America, I know we're the richest country. I also know that we also spend the most in the world on healthcare, while at the same time being the most medicated, while at the same time being the sickest. I know. We're the richest, we spend the most on healthcare, we're the most medicated, and we're the same sickest. And we're the sickest. And that is all done under our leadership. However, we want you to believe us and follow us in this healthcare crisis. I know we failed massively when it comes to things like obesity and type 2 diabetes and heart disease. I know we have failed massively when it comes to that. However, we know what to do about this new pandemic. Once again, that's something else that is very factual. That's something you have to kind of wrestle with if you want to wrestle with, as far as being a fact. These folk, like the idea that you can come up with a vaccine, warp speed, 9 months, and get it out there by the millions, and struggle with type 2 diabetes. If you think that makes sense, if you really think type 2 diabetes is completely preventable and reversible, same thing with high blood pressure, insulin resistance in general. These folks have, I don't even want to say drop the ball, because it's lucrative, and so maybe they didn't drop the ball if that's not even their mission. But to now just trust them on every and anything when they have failed you, or one may actually say that they have actually set you up for this very situation to be afraid and be vulnerable to everything. Because if there's any country that was vulnerable to a virus like this, it would be America, because of our obesity rates and because of our diabetic rates, and because of our insulin resistance metabolic condition. Incredibly vulnerable. Incredibly vulnerable. So, what are you doing for yourself? Because once again, yeah, we can sit here and talk about how it doesn't make sense, and I feel you, and I agree. But then again, I don't agree, because it does make sense. It only doesn't make sense if I truly believe that they are here to help us get healthy. It only doesn't make sense if I feel like this is all about health. I don't feel that this is all about health. Matter of fact, let's erase the feel. I know that this is not about health. And so now that I'm operating from that standpoint, then it makes sense. So whatever they have to do to control you, whatever they have to do to scare the hell out of you, to manipulate you, to confuse you, to anger you, whatever they have to do to make you feel hopeless is on the table. The other things, as far as making you feel empowered and hopeful, no, they're not doing that. And I'm talking to all parties, whether you're pro or anti. Like, think about it. Just imagine, and I've seen this multiple times. I've seen this too many times. Imagine you've been compliant this whole entire way through the whole entire thing. Like, you actually thought you could comply your way out of it. Like, you did the social distancing, you stayed in your house for 7 days, 14 days. You were first in line to get the first jab, you got the second jab, now you got the jab sticking out your neck. You wore the mask, you took off the mask, you had to put the mask back on because they said, oops, my bad. You stayed away from loved ones, you didn't allow anybody in your house on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Unfortunately, people from your family have passed away, you weren't able to see them. You've been compliant the whole entire way. And where has that gotten you? It has gotten you essentially in the same position as the person who hasn't even taken the first vaccine. Y'all both masked up, both doing the social distancing, both have to test. You should, as a compliant person, you should really feel some type of way about everything that's happened. I mean, we all should, but those who have been compliant, once again, you can't comply your way out of this. It's not about, it's not like you're going to get, I would say they probably have the least amount of respect for those who have been compliant. I would say that. Because what makes you different? Think about it. And once again, this is not to continue the back and forth against the groups, because once again, that's a false dichotomy. If anything, it's us versus them, and by them I mean the ones who are actually setting this whole thing up. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is unplug, come out of there, like get your head out of that box. That whole scenery that you think you're looking at right now, get a little bit closer to the scenery. The tree you think is a real tree, push it. You're going to see that as cardboard. That sky that you think you're looking at, put your hand to the side of it and pull it aside. You're going to see that as a freaking curtain. Like, you're on a stage. These folks have massively manipulated the entire world. And once again, they've done a great job of doing it. Master manipulators. John Henrik Clark says, no, I'm sorry, Marcus Garvey said the world is run on bluff. This is the most effective, craziest bluff the world is on. Well, maybe not. Don't lose hope. Don't lose control of your life. If you felt before this whole entire thing started happening that you had a purpose, that you want a mission, that you had things you're working towards, and throughout time of being in this situation, you have let those things go, what I would like to assist you with, and the H-BAMN team as a whole, is getting back to those things, because I know it can be massively depressing. It can be massively depressing. I've dealt with so many, I've sat and dealt with so many of my patients and looked them in their eyes as they go through and talk about how they've been doing XYZ job for 30 years and now they're unemployed, and they lost their business that they had for 15 years, or they're now having to depend on unemployment check, or they've been a nurse for a place for 15 years, never missed a day, and because they chose not to get the vaccine because they already have a clotting disorder, they were fired. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. one of the number one ways to lose hope or continue going on that path of losing hope is to continue eating what they're feeding you. And they're literally feeding it to you through media. And I mean feed, like your Facebook feed, your Twitter feed, your Instagram feed, your TikTok feed. They're feeding you select things that will give you ammo for whatever side you're on to stay plugged in, to stay locked in, and to stay focused on them. What I'm saying is focus on you. Many of us have abandoned our own ship. We have completely abandoned our own ship, and we have allowed the pirates, which is this world, this system, to take over and take control of this thing we call, or we used to call, our life. Now your life is no longer being steered or directed or dictated by you or your creator or whoever was doing it before. Is no longer doing it. What's doing it now is this system, this force, or whatever you want to call it. That's what's happening. You have let go of your purpose. You've let go your health. And when you start letting go of those things, you now have to be more reliant on this system that will continue to abuse you. The abuse isn't new. It's just that we haven't seen this version or this much aggression before. But they've been doing it. They've been doing it. So one of the best ways that you can unplug and stop becoming so dependent on them is to improve your overall health. And I know that sounds like a massive task for a lot of us, but I would tell you one of the very first steps of doing this is to have a sit down with yourself and even decide if you feel that you're worth it. Because this situation that we've been in for the past 2 years has beaten so many of us down to the point where we're not really even sure if we're worth it. We're not really even sure what our worth is. We've kind of have been disconnected from that concept because we've been just beaten down so much over and over. And I get you, I feel you, and I want to say I have empathy for you. And I want to tell you that I truly believe that you are worth it. But you have to get back to that point where you just have to shake it off. And I understand that's easier said than done, very easier said than done. And you all know that I essentially recommend fasting for damn near everything. But at this point, if it's hard for you to have that sit down with yourself to figure out if you're even worth it, I would tell you to go on a fast from everything for 2 days. A fast from food, a fast from social media, mainly from social media. Completely cut. Matter of fact, your fast from social media and media in general, really I would tell you let it be 7 days. Because once again, you've been hijacked. Many of us have been hijacked. The ship that you were once steering on your path and your purpose and your mission, once they got you to continuously focus on the headline for the day about this whole entire situation, we eventually got to the point where we walked away from the steering wheel, and then they hopped on and they were like, yeah, all right, we're going this way now. And they turned it around. And now you're off course. Now you're off path. Now you're off alignment. You're no longer going in the direction that you said you were going to go. And I get it. That can be very depressing. It can really bring you down because you spent so much time going that way, and you've already weathered storms. You've already went through hurricanes and tornadoes. Like, you went through a whole lot in your life to get to that point, and now all of a sudden they have made you turn around. And so you have to fast from them. That's the way you get these folks off of your ship or whatever vehicle you're using. Mind you, I didn't plan any of this, so I don't have really any good analogies or metaphors. But that's how you get these folks off your ship. Stop watching the so-called news. Turn off your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. If your reasoning for continuously consuming those things is because you have to stay informed, you have to understand that you are not being informed. You are being misled. You're being misinformed. If you want those folks off your ship, Let them all go. Turn the TV off. Let it all go. Let it all go. Do it for 7 days. 7 days. Let it all go. See who starts to come out. Because right now, mind you, you're not steering it. If that's all you've been consuming for the past 2 years is them, you're not steering your ship. Fast from them. Get them off of the ship. And see who starts to come out. Then you can have that conversation with yourself as far as, are you even worth being healthy? Mind you, I would say that yes, you are. However, you need to believe it. It's not enough for, well, you need to know it. You need to know it. You might have been focusing on the negative things that have been going on. You might have been massively focusing on the negative things that are going on around you and in the world. Take those 7 days to assess just how real those things are. Take those 7 days to assess, do I really have more negative in my life versus the positive in my life? Because I can still get up and walk. Like, I'm still breathing. My little badass kids still running around being bad. Still got a house. Yeah, I mean, money might be a little tight, but everything's still here. I still have my hands, my legs. I can still work. I can still make money. But also, like, I have people who love me. I have people I love. Like, go through that checklist, because you may not be as poor, or you may not have as many negative things going on in your life as you once thought. But when you're distracted, when you're massively distracted and you're being fed stress and fear constantly, yeah, you're going to think that's all you have, right? And so what I'm telling you is that's most likely not the case. But in order for you to figure out if that's the case or not, you need to unplug from them, along with sitting down and having hard conversations with yourself, one-on-one, just you and you. If you get to the point where you decide that you're not worth it, you need to understand that that is a red flag. Okay, that's a red flag, and you should seek help. You know, maybe you're not able to get, professional help, which I question that now as well. But you might not be able to get help from a therapist or anything like that, and that's not a reason to be hopeless. I would tell you to find someone old who has been through some stuff and sit down and talk with them. Sit down and listen to the stories. Maybe it doesn't take you actually telling them what you have going on with them. Maybe just them talking about what they've seen before will be helpful. Maybe you pay a visit back to your religious, whether it be church, mosque, or whatever you were doing before. Talk to someone. Right? Like I said, try to find, a therapist that culturally aligns with you already. But if you come to the point where you feel like you're not worth it, red flag, please seek help ASAP, okay? And once again, if you can't do it that way, maybe you just roll up to somebody's church and go to the altar and let folks put hands on you. Maybe you hop on the phone with your grandmother. Maybe you find somebody who is wiser than you to let you know that you're doing like this right now. And that's all you can see is your troubles and your worries and your stress and your depression and your anxiety. And you need somebody to just pull you out of that, to see that, oh, there's more than my hand right here. There's more than just my problems right here. There's a whole freaking world going on. That's why I love the country so much, because you go in the country, that's all there is. It's like you can't even see the end of the trees. Like you can't even see where the sky, it's just limitless. And so are you. So now, have the conversation with yourself. If you come to the point where you say, I am worth it, all right, good. I'm glad we agree. If you are worth it, you have value, how have you managed that value? How have you managed it? Because you have to understand that prosperity doesn't come to bad managers. Prosperity actually avoids bad managers. I was thinking about this the other day. We were sitting down, talking about gifts, you know, Christmas and everything like that. And my boys, so I have a daughter who's 12, and I have 2 boys. And my boys are typical boys. They break everything they touch. They're extremely rough with things. They're reckless. They're 7 and 9. I've bought so many Kindles for them. You know Kindles. So we have like the little, the protective thing for the Kindle with the handle and everything like that, so you can throw it around. I've bought so many Kindles for my oldest son because somehow he just continuously breaks them. My daughter has had the same Kindle since I bought her the Kindle, right? But my boys, on the other hand, they pretty much, you know, they break everything. I don't get mad like that. I mean, well, because, you know, I pay for it, so yeah. But at the same time, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I was a kid. But I'm fascinated by my daughter because when it comes to her wanting things of more value or more advanced, I am way more likely to give it to her. So she wanted a laptop last year. It wasn't even a question for me. Matter of fact, my daughter will try to turn her Kindle into a supercomputer. Like, she will hold on to whatever she has and try to make the best out of it. So I was like, all right, baby, you don't have to do that. We'll get you a computer. Last year, got her a laptop, right? Then the conversation about my boys, we were going to get the conversation about the Nintendo. Y'all know the Nintendo, right? What is it? The new Nintendo. And I was like, how much? The price was like $350, $400. I'm like, hell no, not for those 2 jabronis. Hell no. No. Because I know how they get down. My daughter wanted a new phone. She has like the iPhone 3, her mom's old iPhone. So she has like the iPhone 3. It's pathetic. She dropped it the other day on accident. It had cracks in it. She didn't want to get rid of it. She was like, I'm going to put saran wrap over the cracked screen and keep using it. Daddy, look, it still works, Dad. And like, she's proud that she was innovative to figure out a way to still use her iPhone 3. I don't know what model it is, but it's extremely old. And she values that little phone. And so the conversation about getting something for her was like, hell yeah, man. Like, I know she's going to take care of it. I know that she's going to be a great manager of whatever I give her. She's not a good manager of a room. She needs to work on that. But she's a great manager when it comes to her money. So, you know, she has an allowance. She's a great manager when it comes to the devices, the technology, her stuffed animals. Like, she's a great manager with those things. My boys will seek and destroy any and everything and then ask for more. And I'm less likely to give them more because they're horrible managers. They're boys, I get it. But they're horrible managers. My daughter, she's a great manager. More likely to give it. What I want to ask you is, how have you managed your health? How have you managed your health? Because once again, prosperity does not flow to bad managers. And that goes in all areas of life, whether it be financial, whether it be relationships, whether it be health, whatever it is. Prosperity and progression doesn't typically flow where it's going to be mismanaged. Management is the opposite of miracles. Miracles, you have to understand what a miracle is. A miracle is a supernatural event that takes place that shouldn't have taken place given the nature of it. And so if I was to jump off of this building and naturally I should fall, right? I should fall to the concrete and break whatever bones or maybe even die. That's what naturally should happen. A miracle would be if I dipped a little bit and then took off like a jet. That's against supernatural. It's above nature. That shouldn't have happened. That's what miracles are. it gave me a result that I definitely didn't work for. Like I haven't practiced flying since I was 9 years old. I tried to fly before, but I haven't done that since I was 9 years old. And so I didn't work for the ability to be a jet. Didn't work for it. If I had the ability to be a jet just by jumping off a building, that would be a miracle. However, management brings results that can be calculated. Like you can all pretty much essentially calculate what's going to happen when you work towards something on a daily basis. No miracle is needed. Management requires work, and management requires work and attention and consistency. So when people are trying to get you to drop management and focus on miracles, love the vaccine, it's a great vaccine, it's a miracle vaccine, it's a miracle that we came up with it. You should question it. Hell yeah, you should question it. Like, oh, you're trying to tell me that I can be morbidly obese, type 2 diabetic, high blood pressure, already have a history of a stroke and a heart attack, cholesterol issues, an infection, a low kidney filtration rate. I can have all those things, but this vaccine right here is going to keep me safe from this infection. Matter of fact, you don't have to be healthy at all, but you do need this vaccine to keep you safe. That would be a miracle, because it is unnatural to mismanage our body and our health and be healthy. So understand, like, I hope you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it would be unnatural for me to have $1,000 in the bank account and then go to the strip club on the weekend, waste $1,000, and then go back to my account and there's a new $1,000 in there. That would be a miracle, because I definitely mismanaged the hell out of that $1,000. And for me to turn around and have $1,000 back in my account, that's a miracle. And so we have to now ask ourselves, if I know in my heart that I've been mismanaging my $1,000 by just making it rain in the club, and I turn back around and $1,000 is in there, what's going to make me act accordingly as far as proper management goes? Like, why? Like, why? If I know that somebody's going to continue to fund my mismanagement, why the hell would I switch it up and now manage it? What I'm telling you is that they are funding your mismanagement. They are funding you to come over to the side of miracles. They are funding you to come over to the side of laziness, essentially. They are funding you to come over to the side of, all you got to do is inject this. All you have to do is do this. They are funding you to believe that that's all it takes in order for you to get to where you need to go. And what I'm telling you is that that can be further from the truth. But in addition to that, it's a false narrative. Also, you can say that is also wicked as well. So once again, bring it back to that conversation that you have to have with yourself one-on-one. Are you worth it? If you came to the conclusion that you are worth it, now we have to ask ourselves, how have we been managing it? How have you been managing it? Poor management, good management, regardless of the answer, you have to now make the decision, or make the decision that you're going to do better as far as that management goes. You don't have to know what that looks like yet. You just have to start making some small commitments. Well, actually, that's a big commitment, but you have to start making some commitments. You have to commit, 1, I'm worth it. Commit, 2, I've been mismanaging it, and I'm going to do better as far as managing it. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I am going to do better. 3, now we have to make a small commitment to something that we can do on a daily basis. That is going to improve our overall condition. What is that going to be? Walking, drinking water, abstaining from social media, abstaining from juices, sodas. Like, what is it going to be? You choose and make a commitment to do it for 30 days. Come back, check that progress. You got to understand, like, this is now, we're now in the realm of self-love. Like, this is what it truly means to love yourself. You have to actually manage what you have. Once again, just think about the things that you have right now as far as health goes. Can you actually see the screen? That means you have vision. Imagine you were blind. You're not blind. You have vision. Be thankful. Are you able to scroll up the screen with your thumbs without having massive pain from arthritis? Some of you can, some of you, I don't know, but there's multiple abilities that you have right now that I would recommend that you be thankful for. Because imagine not having those abilities. And so I get it. Some of us have lost abilities along the way. That's not a reason to continue to lose abilities. Manage the abilities you have and try to improve on those things that you have as well. You are living in a gift, I would say. That body, that vessel, your ability to see and speak and breathe and stand on one leg, or the ability to give your loved ones a hug, like, you are living in a gift. I'm just trying to explain how rich a lot of you, all of us are. I know they have placed us in a position where we think that we have no hope, we are struggling, we have nothing but stress and fear to focus on. But what I'm telling you is that just think about how beautiful it is to have the ability to see someone and people that you love and able to embrace them and hold them, to walk up with them or play with your kids or to move around or be outside, like, just so many things. You have, I would say, I don't know your situation, but think about it. Do you have a lot to be appreciative for? Do you have a lot to be thankful for? Do you? I understand, once again, it can get very easy to think that you have nothing to be thankful for if you're looking at the situation like this. That's why I say speak to someone who can possibly get you to see like this and see that, oh, there's more than just my problems. Actually, my life is filled with more things to be thankful for than to be stressed out about. You have to ask yourself, how did this situation that I am stressed out about gain so much control over my life? How did this conversation about jab versus the unjab obtain so much control over my life? It didn't just happen. We allowed it into us by giving it our attention. And what I'm saying is, unplug. Don't give it your attention no more. They need your attention. They need your focus. They need you. You don't need them. And that's always a beautiful situation. Always a beautiful situation when you don't need to be there. And you don't need to be there. And in order to assure yourself that you can do without them, you have to improve your health. You have to. So, I know this is a long conversation. I believe I covered what I wanted to cover. My phone has about 3%. And the screen is very dark, so I'm not even able to see myself or really the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and get off. I just really hope you all get the message, and I hope that you share this video. Once again, I stepped away because, let me tell you something, to this day, right now, that video that I told you about, I told y'all there's 2 videos that keeps on getting shared and comments on. To this day, the one video I made last October, every 15 to 20 minutes, I get a notification that there's a new comment on there. Facebook is pushing the hell out of that video. I'm not doing it. Once again, I let it go. I stopped it. But they are sharing the hell out of that video. They're pushing that video. But in the comments of that video, there's so much discord, back and forth. They made it extremely political. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for this. The mission of H-BAMN is to aggressively inspire and radically improve. I hope that I am inspiring you in an aggressive way, because aggression, as far as inspiration, is needed in a time like this when they are being overly aggressive with their narrative. So I hope that this message touched you and helped you in some way. And if it did, and if you feel like this is a message that should get out, please share it, like it, do all those things. I will be back to making videos, because once again, I have multiple things that I want to touch on as far as health goes, and mindset, and just overall self-worth. So this is your brother, Edward Williams. I love you all. Our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes. We'll talk to you later. All right? Peace.